You prepared for your day by bringing you 3 things that you need to know in the fight against coronavirus.
Yeah, we begin this morning with a salute to the first responders who are working on the front lines. This is EMS Appreciation Week. It's normally marked with huge celebrations, but this year things are a whole lot different, and that show of support is more important than ever. Some groups are donating meals to Medic this week, but there are some things you can do. Reporter Gina Esposito has more on how you can show your appreciation coming up here in just a few minutes.
And today, NFL teams can start reopening facilities if state and local governments allow it. Commissioner Roger Goodell says that those facilities that do open can only do so with 50% of staff. That does not include the players and coaches. Channel 9 reached out to the Panthers. So far, they did not get back to us, but a source told the Charlotte Observer that they don't plan to open till June.
A judge ruled in favor of a South Charlotte Days Inn, saying it can remove some of the people staying there. The Days Inn on Woodlawn Road tried to close down last month. It shut off the water and electricity to try to force them to leave, but 9 of the 12 people living there filed a lawsuit to stay. For now, those families will get to stay while they await a hearing of this issue next month.
Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Castori is live for us in South Charlotte to explain the next steps and the issues for other families that are living in motels. Anthony?
And Brittany, I have covered this story for weeks, and late last night I got a copy of the judge's order. Legal Aid had argued a few people here ruined it for everyone else. Yeah, they had ruined it for everyone else, for the people who were living here, and now the people who aren't listed in the suit will be forced to leave. We were here overnight and saw a handful of CMPD officers. Attorneys for the motel filed a lawsuit wanting a judge to rule that the people living here are not considered long-term tenants. They believe the residents are taking advantage of a gray area under the state's stay-at-home order, where evictions are on hold until June 1st. Lawyers say people have not paid and they're committing violent criminal acts and destroying the property. Legal Aid fired back, saying the 9 people they represent are not responsible for the damage. A judge is expected to make a decision on whether they can stay as early as next month. This is just one example of similar issues we have seen all across the city. Residents staying at a Motel 6 on South Tryon just received a notice they need to move out in a few weeks. The manager there told us off camera he hasn't collected payments from 65% of his guests for nearly 2 months. And without any income, he is forced to close his business. And we're told Legal Aid is looking into this motel to make sure the residents are treated fairly. Some say it's hard to get a tour of an apartment right now, let alone afford one.
A lot of places aren't doing like any tours, anything like that. You know, you have all these fees that you still have to pay and everything like that. So, I mean, it gets very difficult.
I would be sleeping in my car with a wife and 2 babies.
Now, once the eviction moratorium expires on June 1st, motels and apartment complexes will be legally allowed to kick people out. And a lot of the residents we spoke with are calling on the city right now for some housing assistance before that happens. Back to you.
You know, there's just a lot at stake for those families, especially during this pandemic. Anthony, thank you. Now, we took a look at the calls to 211, and they really show just how much people are struggling with housing in North Carolina. Look at just the last 30 days. The data shows more than 5,000 people called for help finding information on housing or shelter. And of those calls, more than 3,000 were for rent assistance, hundreds more for shelters and low-cost housing, respectively. The Charlotte area zip codes also made up 6 out of 10 of the top 10 highest rates of requests.
As more businesses across North Carolina prepare to reopen, the governor stopped short of committing to entering phase 2 on Friday. During his update on the state's response yesterday, he said he hopes to enter phase 2, but he added an announcement will likely come midweek. But he didn't go as far as to say that the state would reopen, saying officials need more data. Restaurants and hair salons are some of the businesses getting ready for phase 2. Now, the salon owner at 1213 Studio in Plaza Midwood plans to reopen a little bit after phase 2 starts to ensure that he has every safety measure needed in place. Everyone, both the client and the stylist, will be required to wear a mask. He says they'll ask clients to wait in their cars until they get a text message to come in for their appointment.
We have contacted the State Board of Cosmetology, and they're sending out recommendations of how to reopen safely. We'll be having partitions between the stations just so the clients and our fellow booth renters feel safe. We also are going to have sanitary stations throughout the salon.
Now, Channel 9 also talked with Chef Bruce Moffett, who plans to reopen 3 of his 4 restaurants to in-person dining about a week into phase 2. He says there will be a sanitation station when you walk in, and the hostess will go over all the safety measures.
Well, major changes could be coming to Atrium's Dilworth campus. Last night, Charlotte City Council, they got an earful from people who live around the hospital, and they are not happy about a rezoning petition that will allow a new bed tower, a new rehabilitation hospital, and a new medical school. Also, up to 425 apartments on 70 acres of Atrium's campus.